I'll admit I never watched Darkman. The basic plot of it was that a scientist who was working on some sort of fake skin was attacked by some mobsters. Somehow, he ends up burned and forced to use the synthetic stuff that he was working on to cover his wounds. Now sort of healed, he reconstructs his face with the skin and sets out for revenge. Granted, there's probably a lot more involved in this, but if you want to know more, watch the movie. The game itself is based on the movie, at least as far as I know, and you do have access to the story option right on the menu. It'll give you a quick rundown on the plot and tell you what you need to do to win the game. That's a nice feature to have, if, like me, you're not a movie watching type. Anyway, you play as Darkman, who is on a mission to find the guys responsible for attacking him. In order to do this, you go through a few side-scrolling levels, punching thugs and reaching the end of the stage. At least, that's the plan, but unfortunately, Darkman falls to the dark void of bad games fairly quickly. First and foremost, let me talk about the positives of the game, and then I'll get on to the cons. The game looks fantastic. Everything is good looking and a lot of detail was put into the environments of the game. Darkman himself waves his code around him when starting and ending a level, which is strange but at least looks pretty cool. As for the music and sounds, they're equally as good. The music is catchy, and although the sound effects seem to be a bit of a strange selection, they're still not grating. In addition, the game does veer a bit from your standard side-to-side 2D platformer. One of these oddball stages is a level where you'll be hopping to and from small platforms that are on a rail-type system. Incorrectly choose the right direction, and you'll fall to your death. Another one of these stages features Darkman trying to take a good photo of one of the thugs so he can create a mask of this person, imitating him. I'll get to that short piece later. Unfortunately, I was only able to reach about level 7 or so. It's not that the game was difficult, because it really isn't. It's just that the controls and gameplay of the game are horribly flawed. Let me start with the controls, because that's really what's damning this game, forcing the bad gameplay. The controls themselves are simple. Directional pad moves you, A jumps, and B attacks. I should add that attacking is also very touchy. You need to practically be humping the enemy's leg in order to punch them. Every enemy also takes multiple hits, so when you hit them once, you have to wait for the enemy to run back to you before you strike them again. If you're lucky, you can smack the thugs off of a platform and watch them fall to their deaths, but then you don't receive any points for it. Not that points really do anything, but still. Anyway, the combat itself sucks, but the jumping is the real ball buster of the game. The reason for this is that the controls are just way too frickin' loose, and you can't change direction once you leap. I'm not complaining about this, but it does suck when you jump and you go right through platforms. Another issue is that since Darkman needs a slight amount of space in order to reach max speed, some jumps may become impossible in certain situations, since you can't backtrack at all. As I said, the biggest issue with the game is the jumping. I'll get to the balloons later, and I've already mentioned the hit detection a little bit, but it's a huge issue for the game. It's not just that you fall through platforms when jumping at them, but you might fall off the starting platform before even getting a chance to jump. So you're damned both before and after you jump. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten some speed going, prepare to leap, and just fall. And there was a lot of screaming, yelling, and general bitching about this game. In addition to this, certain objects can instantly kill you. The reason I bring this up is that those harmless looking red balloons are not actually innocent. I don't know. To me, when I see a floating red balloon coming towards me, I expect to be able to jump on it and bounce off. In this case, you indeed bounce off into a void known as death. This makes no sense whatsoever. It's truly a what the fuck moment. Why would a balloon be more lethal than a frickin' bullet? A bullet at least does damage, but it doesn't instantly kill you. But a balloon is apparently that slippery that Darkman tumbles off into the expanse of the bottom of the screen. Also, you see that strange gray object up there? Looks just like part of the scenery, does it not? Wrong. If you hover in the wrong spot for even a second, Darkman becomes a pancake. Where the fuck did this come from, and why is it here? It doesn't give you more than a second to move out of the way, so if you stop at all, you're fucked. Fortunately, this obstacle doesn't appear frequently, but really, should it be here at all? I don't think so. One final specific area I want to bitch about and I'll move on. In the one forest area, you see two sets of log platforms floating in midair in a rectangular pattern. Getting on the one is easy. Getting on the other? Not so much. You have to time it perfectly and at the same time need to hurry up because there is a timer. Most of the time I got up there, it was by sheer luck, not skill. But now that I think of it, the log platforms as a whole suck a fat one. They move in predetermined patterns, but you know how most platforms like this and any other game pause when reaching one end of the other of the pattern? Not in Darkman. Instead, the platform lifts upwards on a slant, then it immediately retracts back to where it started, giving you no chance at all to time a jump properly. Add in the frustrating looseness of the controls and you'll be using a lot of your limited continues just trying to jump on a floating piece of wood. I mentioned earlier that I'd talk about the photo stage, so I may as well do that quick. Darkman is tasked with taking a few pictures of a mobster, so you're thrust into a first-person view of a cityscape. You move the viewfinder around and attempt to snap a photo of the enemy. If you can't, don't worry, there's no repercussions. I'm not sure if this mission is solely based on time or if you also finish it by being shot so many times, but every time you do get hit, the viewfinder drops to the ground. You'll see this happen a lot because it's seriously impossible to dodge any enemy shots. It's one of those things where it's a nice idea, but it doesn't really have a place in the game, and a cutscene could have done the job. One other minor detail before I wrap this up. You have a high score table, but you can only put in 5 characters. I just don't get it. Why only 5 characters? You can't tell me that you don't know somebody with a name longer than 5 letters. You might know a Charlie, but does he really want to be known as Chuck? Come on. I know, it's stupid, but I just had to point it out. Darkman isn't a terrible game, but it's really flawed. The looseness of the jumping and the stupid bullshit platform detection make this game nearly impossible to play. I've tried many times for several months to get past the wood stages, but I can't. By the time I finally complete the vertical stage, I have no continues left. I know it looks like it could be a decent game, but trust me, pass this one up. Final score? 5 out of 10. This is Reaper, and don't forget to find me on Facebook, www.facebook.com/ReapersReviews. Happy fragging.